Revenge films.
This happened a few years ago during Golden Week, when I went to help my husband's parents with their farm. Back then I was visiting with my husband, but on the first day of our trip, my husband got a call from his company, and he had to go back, leaving me alone. His parents lived as a family of 3 with his big brother, who was single. Their house was big, so they lent me a room at a separate house where I can rest after working. But that night after my husband left, someone came into my room. I had really bad eyesight, so I couldn't see who came in, but I was really scared when the person climbed on top of me. "Let me go! What are you doing?" When I hit the person with the alarm clock near my pillow with all my might, the culprit ran away. So I put on my glasses and shouted for help. I couldn't believe my eyes. When I saw what was happening in front of me, it turns out that the person I just punched was my brother-in-law, and he was being dragged back into my room by his mother with blood all over his face. Well, I was in shock finding out that my brother-in-law tried to sexually assault me. His mother suddenly approached me, pulled my hair, and yelled, "You shitty daughter-in-law, what did you do to my son? You hurt him so badly. Apologize! Get on your knees and apologize!" She then got on top of me, so I desperately tried to fight back. "He sexually assaulted me. I am the victim." Then my father-in-law said,
"How dare you call yourself a victim? You better be thankful that he found you attractive. You did something this horrible to our son. We'll definitely ask you to pay for compensation."
"What? Wait a minute. Why do I have to do that?" "Shut up. I'll let you experience what you did to our son." Then she punched me with the alarm clock over and over. I knew that I was in great danger, so I desperately crawled out from beneath and ran outside. It seemed like our neighbors had heard the chaos and noise from inside, and when the old lady living next door was about to come out to check, "Please help me!" I ran toward her and begged for her help. But then my parents-in-law also came running after me, and they were afraid of what I'd tell her. "Our daughter-in-law is drunk and is making a fuss. I'm sorry to cause you trouble. Come on, we're going home. You better not cause trouble to our neighbors."
"Yes, leave our neighbor alone."
They were making up these stories, but I was shivering like crazy. My clothes and my hair was in a mess, so I guess she figured that something dangerous was going on. "Well, she looks hurt, so I'll treat her wounds at my house." And she let me inside. I bet my parents-in-law thought that they'll look suspicious if they get too aggressive, so they didn't say anything after that. But they were glaring at me with fierce eyes. Now that I escaped to the neighbor's house and was finally free from their glares, I felt relieved because she was so nice to me. I told her everything that happened while I wept. Then the old lady got pale. "Oh my! Oh, you were sexually assaulted. And then your parents-in-law even assaulted you? Oh, poor thing. Well, I'm glad you're safe. I'll call the police and the ambulance, so stay here, okay?" Yes. Then the old lady made a phone call. The ambulance arrived first, but when the sound of the siren approached...
"This stupid daughter-in-law, what did you do? Now we'll have a bad reputation. Make it go away right now."
They were making a fuss outside, but the old lady went to confront them. "Shut up! Do you not understand what you did to her?" They were having an argument while the rescue workers came to me, and the ambulance took me to the hospital, and then the police came for investigation, visiting me at the hospital. After receiving a health checkup, I had a fracture in my collarbone, rib, and left wrist, and I had bruises all over my face and upper body. So I had the doctor write me a medical certificate. At the police station, my brother-in-law stated,
"I was sleepwalking and entered the wrong room, but she made a fuss out of that."
That was what he testified, but his room was in the main building, and the room I was renting was in the separate building, so to come to my room, he had to walk through the corridor outside. While the police questioned him, the other officers went to my parents-in-law's house as well for investigation. So they pointed out that his point didn't make sense. The final straw was the drug with aphrodisiac effects that he had in his pocket. From that, the police became sure that he had lied and decided that my testimony of being sexually assaulted was trustworthy. And then my brother-in-law got arrested. My parents-in-law insisted that I should be the one who should get arrested for assault. But the police pointed out that it was self-defense. My brother-in-law never had a girlfriend, and the matchmaking parties he was attending weren't going well. And he was the type who had no chance of getting married. Even if his parents didn't encourage him to sexually assault me, they ended up being violent with me and assaulted me, so they were also arrested for bodily harm. Shortly after, my husband came to see me after hearing about what happened, but he didn't seem worried about my safety at all.
It was just an attempt. Why did you let the police arrest him? You could have withdrawn your victim's report.
When he said that, my love for him disappeared in an instant. Withdraw my victim's report? Excuse me? I was sexually assaulted by your big brother, and your parents even got violent with me. But that's the first thing you say before you mouth a word of worry?
He just lost himself for a moment. Are you gonna ruin the rest of his life?
When I heard him say that, I realized that I didn't have to go easy on him anymore, so I quickly got myself a lawyer and got a divorce. I have no idea how he ended up misunderstanding, but he said to me,
I don't need any compensation money. Let's go separate ways, bringing our own savings with us.
He tried to act cool. Why do I have to pay you any compensation money? It's you and your family who has to pay me as compensation. When I said that, he looked shocked.
Then I'll never get a divorce from you.
He started making a fuss, but we had already filled in the divorce papers, so it was too late. My lawyer quickly turned down my husband's idea, and he had to pay me a great amount of money as compensation. My husband found out about this later, but I was actually making more money than him. Well, my husband was not being paid much at work. After he realized that, he started to make a fuss again. But because we had already signed the papers, I had the lawyer deal with the rest and asked to get rid of him about the series of events. Oh, this is all too much. I bet the wife is just making it sound like a big deal. There was a woman in my parents-in-law's neighborhood called Mrs. Shipman who was spreading this kind of rumor. When I went to my parents-in-law's house to testify, she even called the police. What a terrible daughter-in-law. And the police warned her to keep quiet. And she got angry about that, so she went on to spread these rumors about me. I got to know this when I visited the old lady's house after I got a divorce with my husband. I visited her once to greet her and express my gratitude. In response to what Mrs. Shipman said, there was no way I was lying, judging from how hurt I looked when I begged for her help. She yelled at her and even explained to the neighbors about the truth. Now, Mrs. Shipman is isolated in the neighborhood and would no longer dare to say anything about my case. Without this old lady, it gives me shivers to just imagine about all the things that might have happened, so I'm really thankful. After the incident, my parents-in-law and their family now have a crime record, and the second son even continued to hurt me even more, although the first son made an attempt to assault me, so she told me that they've been seen with judgmental eyes. I had already gotten divorced and received a great amount of compensation, so I felt very refreshed to hear that. After that, I told her my final word of thanks and brought her some snacks as I kindly expressed my gratitude. Half a year later, I heard rumors about my ex-husband's family, and apparently they got too well known as the family with a crime record. So their neighbors criticized them heavily and even pasted all kinds of flyers on their house. And the whole family ended up getting depressed, causing them to move out. In the case of my husband, the rumor about not helping me spread in his office, and everyone regarded him as a shitty person, forcing him into resignation. I really think they deserve it, though.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.